Alrighty, so we absolutely have to talk about Tesla, especially after finally having some positive momentum in the last few trading sessions. But there are a few negative developments that recently came out that we're going to want to go ahead and delve into in this video. So make sure to watch this video in its entirety. By the way, guys, I am feeling a bit under the weather, which is why I haven't uploaded in the last week. But other than that, the content will remain pretty much incongruent with how I typically do these videos. But let's go ahead and talk about a couple of things. Now, in a recent video, I highlighted how the fundamentals for Tesla were going to look bad for the earnings. However, there was a possibility of Tesla reviving itself depending on how the forward guidance was looking, and that's exactly what we ended up seeing. When you parse through, we see that we had pretty much Tesla stock rise upwards, and I want to go ahead and talk about what this recent rise was about. Now, part of it was due to that forward guidance, but there was also some other optimism aside from what we got from the earnings call. For example, we recently had the news of Tesla collaborating with Baidu, which, if you guys don't know, that's basically the Google of China, entering into an agreement with Tesla, pretty much providing mapping license to collecting data on public roads in China. Now, this is by far huge news, or was huge news, because this is what's needed to eventually launch FSD in China. And so what you guys have to understand is that, China is the second largest market after the United States for Tesla. So this is absolutely a big deal. And so when you pair up the news of the forward guidance as well as the positive catalyst for Tesla, you have this big move, but it was also in conjunction with the fact that Tesla was heavily shorted. Now, if you guys have been following the channel, know that I haven't been shorting Tesla. I just for a while said I wasn't buying more Tesla in the long-term portfolio, that I wasn't shorting it. But there were a lot of short sellers that were indeed shorting Tesla. And of course, for a while, they were making a lot of money. But once you have this big spike in buying pressure because of positive forward guidance as well as this announcement, well, you have sort of this mini short squeeze where we end up seeing something like this, where we see Tesla short sellers lose more than $5 billion in post-earnings rally. And so this is absolutely kind of something that contributed to the rally upwards. You have short sellers now having to cover, which end up turning into buy orders, as well as the forward guidance, and then of course the news. And so that propelled Tesla now up to this area where we're kind of above where there's a lot of volume relative to price. And if you guys have been following the channel, you guys know that that means that, yeah, there is likely a lot more consolidation that could take place, especially because there's a lot of exchanging between buyers and sellers around these areas. But this actually puts us closer to this area where now we could possibly continue pushing upwards and, start getting into this area with little volume relative to price. And if there's positive news, well, that's great for Tesla. But now, bringing things to where we currently stand, we recently had some negative catalysts take place. For example, from a macro perspective, we ended up having consumer confidence plunge to a 21-month low, with food prices being a top issue, which kind of sours the broader market with this economic release, especially when you have a report like this, which I went to in much further details for those within the Push and Profit private group by providing this chart right over here, highlighting how these are the areas where in the next 6 months, consumers were looking to change. And you could see that over the next 6 months, to save money, I will reduce spending on or eliminate. And you see that food away from home, which is a discretionary, because of course that's not like the groceries, that's different. But you can see that you see groceries, you see food, of course other discretionary items like entertainment. So we're seeing people say that, look, we have to go ahead and cut out these expenses because it's just becoming unbearable. And that kind of soured the broader markets. In fact, if we take a look at the SPY, which is the S&P 500 index ETF, we see that we had a bit of a red candle after today's economic report. But kind of tying things more in line with what we saw with Tesla, we have to talk about something else that's pertinent to Tesla, and that is the fact that Tesla announced another round of layoffs, including 2 execs from the supercharging team. Now, one thing I do want to share is that while it is kind of negative in the short term about how, a company is trimming and kind of laying off employees, trimming the fat in the company isn't necessarily bad for the long term and could actually be a positive moving forward if indeed the layoffs were just a trimming of fat and not kind of workforce that was vital to the ongoing success of the firm. And so you see this often when companies strategically start trimming, and that could lead to further success in the future. And so hopefully, in regards to Tesla, this is kind of one of those occasions where it's just kind of taking off the excess that's not really needed. And of course, that's horrible to say. I hope the individuals who ended up losing their jobs are able to quickly rebound up. Hopefully got some nice severance packages. But at the end of the day, I just want to provide a friendly reminder that while this is negative in the short term, it could still be a positive in the future. Now, looking into Tesla, there is a lot more that I wanted to share in today's video. I'm just still extremely under the weather. As far as just a mini update for what I did in my long-term portfolio, which again, I always say you should never follow or copy what anyone else says or does. Right before or right after the earnings, I did mention in a comment for a recent video how I did add a few more shares of Tesla into the long-term portfolio, but I didn't do any extreme buys. And I'm still waiting to possibly add a little bit more after we cross and close above 200. But yeah, I did buy some shares of Tesla. It wasn't a crazy amount. Did I wish that I bought more? It is what it is. I'm still, pretty much still outperforming the market, the broader market in the long-term portfolio by a vast amount, simply because I avoided buying Tesla for a while and, really bought into a lot of other names that have performed really well. But again, I know a lot of individuals, have different perspectives in regards to what they do in their trading accounts or their long-term portfolio. And so at the end of the day, to each their own. I'm simply just kind of providing my outlook for Tesla. I like where Tesla is at, and I think if we could hold above where we're currently at and just have a bit more positive news, well, that could place us at a very great place strategically for Tesla when looking at things from a technical perspective. But of course, we do have a storm of macroeconomic data coming out, especially what we're going to be hearing from the Federal Reserve in terms of interest rates. Of course, I could get a lot deeper into the conversation of where we are with tighter financial conditions and how the yen and the dollar, the US dollar, is having kind of a bad effect on lending and how that's contributing to something that may not look very favorable for the market. But I try to not get too deep in these videos for YouTube. If you guys want a little bit more information on that and some other things that we're looking into and within the Push and Profit private group, I always share that information for those within the group. So that's going to be the first link in the description below. But before I head off, I just want you guys to, or encourage you guys to comment in the comment section down below. What are your thoughts in Tesla or on Tesla in regards to where we are now? And what do you think Tesla is going to be doing moving forward? Of course, no one has a crystal ball. Just interested to hear what you guys have to say. But with that said, before you guys go, make sure to also check out this video right over here, and I'll see you guys on that next video. Take care.